To Sports Choice Plus. It's breaking news. It's Kevin Durant, who was a member of the Phoenix Suns as of 15 minutes ago, now is a member officially of the Houston Rockets. We're going to be breaking down the trade. We're going to be breaking down the domino effects. Um, it's a lot to unpack and unpeel. A lot of questions, a lot of things, but officially the Phoenix Suns have traded Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets in a blockbuster deal. The deal includes Kevin Durant going to Houston, and that's for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick in this year's draft, 5 second-round picks, which are probably going to be late picks. And this is tough because the deal places Kevin Durant with the number 2 seeded Rockets that were in the playoffs that won 52 games under Ime Udoka this past season. And I think it elevates them into a position of championship run. When you think of having Sangoon, having Amen Thompson, having Fred Van Vliet, they have still some considerable, and Steven Adams, they have some good pieces on this ball club. But you just ask yourself, is this move going to be enough to get them into the echelon where the Minnesota Timberwolves are, where the Denver Nuggets are, if the Oklahoma City Thunder? Um, it's a lot. It's a lot. When you think about this trade and you think about how the Suns finished the season, Phoenix gets some pretty good players back, but you ask yourself, are they really going to do anything with Dylan Brooks? So they're probably waive and trade him. I know they're probably going to keep Jalen Green for the long haul and build around him and Devin Booker. Because you got to think there's so much talent, and Jalen Green's what, 23, 24, if I'm not mistaken. So it's one of them things. It's tough. Um, I don't know. It's this one to me. The San Antonio Spurs made more sense. But I think having Idoka there is accountability level that we haven't seen him have from a coach in a while. I don't think Steve Kerr gave him that. I don't think the Brooklyn Nets coach gave him that. I don't think anybody in Phoenix gave him that. It's tough because I think Idoka is a coach's coach, and he's going to be one of those players, coaches that holds Kevin Durant accountable, not for just playing basketball, but for also being a leader on the team, for making sure this team does more than just make the playoffs, for making sure he's just more than just hooping. There's a lot of storylines behind this, and you got to think about this. Phoenix is now left to rebuild. Phoenix does have Bradley Beal as well. They still have Devin Booker. They have a lot of. They have a this trade shifts the power, if you will, in the Rockets' favor. But I don't know if it puts them in championship contender. Grab the comment for Lamar Jackson. In terms of what? But it's I don't know. It's tough. It's tough because you got to ask yourself, from a standpoint, does Kevin Durant give them enough cachet to win a championship in the NBA? I know you got Fred Van Vliet, who's a champion. I know you have Adoka, who's been a part of rosters that are great. You got Steven Adams, that has been a part of winning cultures. But you just got to ask yourself, is Kevin Durant enough at 37, 38 years old? Is Kevin Durant what this team needs right now? And they gave up a lot because that number 10 pick, regardless of how that ever shows, that number 10 pick is tough because there's a lot of good lottery picks in this draft. And I would say you got at least 10 players. Um, it's a lot to it's a lot to ask a 38-year-old, 37-year-old to come and be a savior of a franchise. There was a lot of pressure on Jalen Green. He didn't get the job done, so they shipped him out. Jalen Green didn't really have a lot of time to develop and learn. And you got to think 2 or 3 years on a job. This was the first real year Jalen Green had of playoff success in the NBA. So that championship window, how big is it? For what you gave up in Jalen Green, which is a hell of a player and the number 10 pick that could also be a hell of a player. I know the 5 second-round picks doesn't really make a difference because it's second-round picks. It's not first-round picks. But when you're asking yourself, when you go to sleep at night and you think about this trade, is what Kevin Durant has accomplished, is what Jalen Green and what possibly Dylan Brooks is going to bring to the table for the rest of their career is going to be more or better. That's what we're looking at here. And you got to think, as good as Kevin Durant is, does this shift the power in a championship setting? Does he tap in enough to make sure that what this is helps grow? Is he going to be part of the rebuild process? I don't know. It's tough. It's tough because now you got to ask yourself, is Ime Udoka thinking this is going to be a championship move? Are they still making pieces? Are they still have moves to make on the board? Are they going to trade possibly anybody else on this roster? You know, Houston has a small gap because they still got all these small forwards. They didn't trade all these small forwards. They didn't get rid of a lot of small forwards. They got rid of Jalen Green. And you got to ask yourself, is this going to be the final move? Is this the next move? The West is loaded. The West is loaded to where it's an arms race. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw another superstar on the move after the NBA Finals. What if Kawhi chooses to go back to San Antonio? What if he says, let me out to the Clippers? You know, what if they shift somebody from the East Coast to the West Coast? You know, with Luka and LeBron looking to re-shelve some things, move a couple of salaries around, get a couple of guys in there. Could they get a big to Los Angeles to counter this move? What could Minnesota do with Rudy Gobert? It's clear he's not working out there. You've got all the pieces to back up if you trade Rudy. You've got low post rebounding. You've got low post scoring in Minnesota to get rid of Rudy Gobert, the 3 or 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. So you got to think, the West is loaded. The West is loaded, not including Oklahoma City Thunder, who by all means may win an NBA championship tonight, who could very well beat the Indiana Pacers tonight. But I think it's tough. When you look at just overall the standings and you ask yourself, does this move put them above? And I'm just looking straight at the standings. Does this move put them above Oklahoma City? I don't think so. Does this move put them above Los Angeles Lakers? I don't think so. Does this put them above Denver? I don't think so. When you're looking at the Los Angeles Clippers, when you're looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves, Golden State could still make moves. And again, these are just teams that were in the playoffs last season. These are just teams that had pretty good rosters, that had pretty good moves that they've made throughout the season that kept them afloat. Again, Memphis, I'm not worried about. Sacramento Kings, I'm not worried about. Dallas is somebody you should worry about because if they get healthy, they get Cooper Flag, they get Kyrie back. That's a strong team. But I think that overall, you're going to see a lot of shape shifting from a lot of different teams. Now, Houston won 52 games last year, lost 30, had a pretty good home record, had a pretty good away record. In division, they were pretty good, 13-3. So you just ask yourself, with their scoring average, the way that they play defense, Kevin Durant's going to have to play more defense. Ime Udoka, no matter what you do, history shows us he made Jason Tatum play defense. When he was on the Brooklyn Nets, he made them people play defense. Every team he's been, he's made people play defense. Will Kevin Durant sit down and play defense? Will he buckle down, tie into the vision of Ime Udoka? And what will his role be? With everything that's going on in Houston, and you're looking at just the news, just the factors, what will his role be? You know, from a standpoint of them re-signing Steven Adams to a massive deal, it's clear that he's going to be on this roster and he's going to have a role playing wise. Again, when you're looking at Sengun, is Sengun going to be the star of your show? Are the offense going to run through Sengun? Amen Thompson, is he staying? Are you guys going to make a bigger role for Amen Thompson? You know that he doesn't really shoot the ball late, but he does get in the mix. He does put himself in a position to actually get to the free throw line and get fouled. You know, Fred Van Vliet. What is he doing? You know, are they going to reduce his deal to come back to Houston? You know, there's a lot of, and Cam Whitmore, are they going to use Cam Whitmore more? Are they going to use Jabari Smith Jr. more? Are they trading one of these small forwards? There's a lot that Houston has on the table that we have yet to see yet. And I refuse to believe that they're done making moves. I refuse to. I refuse to. It's too much talent on this roster that they can get rid of that, I don't know, just something different. So I think that overall, as the Phoenix Suns are starting to shape their roster, we're going to see a lot more. Bradley Beal, could he be on the move? Could Bradley Beal be on the move and waive his no trade clause? Could he be headed to Miami? Could he be headed to San Antonio? You know, people need a spot up shooter. They need a guy that can give you 15 off the bench, possibly. Devin Booker, does he stay in Phoenix? Can he be paired with Jalen Green and or Bradley Beal? You know, the expiring contract of Bradley Beal looks attractive to a lot of different teams. So you just got to ask yourself, what's next for them? You know, and you got to ask also, could Dylan Brooks be a trade piece that helps the championship team get over the roster, get over the hump? These are things you seriously have to consider. So overall, I think that Houston, if I'm grading out this trade, just off the trade of what I see, again, you don't know who the 5 second-round players could be. Those could be like Ginobili. It could be Tony Parker, like the Spurs did and draft well in late rounds. Or they could be completely guys that you're probably not going to use at all. It's a possibility. But as of right now, just judging off the players we know, what they can do with Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green, and the number 10 overall pick for Kevin Durant, it's a solid trade on both sides. Again, we don't know who the 5 guys are going to be from the second round for the next couple of drafts. But the Phoenix Suns have got themselves some draft capital that they could play with, that they could trade. Having extra second round picks is not the same thing as first, but it is having some collateral that you can use to trade to get other veterans in, to get other pieces in. It's other underlying things that we don't see with those picks. And again, is Houston ready to win a championship now? That remains to be seen. The roster that I just talked to you guys about, is that a championship roster that you would be a part of? That you would say, okay, we're going to hang our hat on that? Who's going to be the leader of that group? Who's going to be the guy that says, you know what? Because you can't have a leader that just sits on the bench. You can't have Udonis Haslem be the leader of your team and he's not playing. So let's be clear. You can't just have a vocal leader be somebody that does not play and get in the game like that. You have to have somebody that's going to be able to be on the court, somebody that's going to be able to make buckets, somebody that's going to be able to help the team grow. And that's where we are with that. But this is definitely it's definitely breaking news. It definitely is breaking news. To see the fashion and how this story is, as ESPN Shams has been on this story for some time now, and I think that there's been a lot of chatter about when this was going to possibly happen, and it happened now. I think this overshadows the NBA Finals a little bit. And because the NBA Finals has been lackluster in a lot of different ways, this kind of takes, some of the shine away, excuse me. So it's just wondering, okay, what's next? What's the next move to make? What's the next move that's going to happen? I could easily see some things happening. So, but man, oh man, oh man, what a day, what a day, what a day before the NBA Finals even breaks out tonight. So all of you Houston Rockets fans, are you happy with what happened? Are you happy with the trade? Tell me what you think. Definitely check out Sports Trades Plus. We're going to stay on the beaten path, if you will, and bring you all the updates and all the trades that they're happening. Again, this is tough because you have one of the best shooters in the game, one of the best figures in the game, with Kevin Durant swapping teams. And, Jalen Green's a young force to be reckoned with, a young dunker who essentially is on the move. So, all you sports fans, get in the comment section below. Definitely check out Sports Choice Plus, and we will definitely see you on the next episode.